Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, here to talk a little bit about uh, this current situation with love and hip hop star Sukihana and uh, Florida rapper YK Osiris. Well, this past recently at a Crew League event in Atlanta, I guess it's Crew League is sort of like this get together convention of hip hop artists. Uh, YK Osiris violated Sukihana. He actually went behind her and gave her a kiss like twice. Went up and tried to kiss her and actually did kiss her. According to reports, he succeeded in kissing her two times. And this is sparking a discussion on personal rights and sexual harassment, sort of a Me Too type conversation. In another Henry, so what's going on? In another conversation that it's sparking is if a woman is a provocative female rapper and she hits provocative sexual lyrics, as Sukihana does. Sukihana, of course, like I said, a star of Love and Hip Hop Miami, also in 2020 put out a mixtape called Wolf Pussy, and is also was also involved with Cardi B's video WAP. So that tells you all you need to know about what the world thinks of this woman. But despite that, despite a woman's reputation, despite the music that she puts out, the persona she puts out, because that doesn't give him the right to do what he did, and because the personas that rappers put out are their public personas. They are for entertainment purposes only. If that were the case, then male rappers, should be attacked, bullied, shot at, and held to some of the gangster ish claims that they say in their records and their songs. But they're not. You have old school rappers like Snoop Dogg who proclaim to be Crips and guys like The Game who proclaim to be Bloods. Nobody's really calling them out on it. Everybody knows that it's basically just bullshit, and it's basically, as JD Signifier, the YouTuber here, says, he coined the phrase hip hop kayfabe. It's a public persona that they put out. It has nothing to do with their real life. So when women put this energy out there, that doesn't give people the right, like YK Osiris, to assume that they are up for, um, sexual exploitation, or that they are inviting um, sexual harassment or rape, ape, excuse me, of any kind, or sexual misconduct of any kind. This wasn't that bad, but it did violate her space in a public area, and you could tell by her reaction that it caught her off guard. And that naturally, because, you know, apology, and I'm going to read her apology right now. I mean, her YouTube, excuse me, social. She writes, I want to say first, thank you to everyone who has reached out to me, uh, reached out. Your thoughtfulness has not gone unnoticed. I would like to address the event that took place on Saturday, as well as the aftermath surrounding such. First, I would like to acknowledge that YK Osiris has apologized to me both privately and publicly, and I have chosen to accept his apology. God always forgives, and I can always forgive others. My accepting his apology is not an excuse nor lessening the severity of his actions. This is destiny choosing to give grace to Osiris. He is young. It is my prayer that this experience will cause him and others to be mindful and respectful of the personal boundaries of others. I am a human. I am a woman. I'm a mother and a daughter. And before I am an entertainer. No matter what lyrics express, I still have boundaries and have a right to them. Again, I've accepted his apology and I am working towards getting back to my life. I am giving YK the grace and forgiveness that I want to be given to me. As as I was discovering and defining myself on this very public and sometimes unforgiving entertainment platform. Thank you again. I deeply appreciate your support. Yes, Lisa is correct. Not her apology, but her statement. I meant to say he was the one that issued the apology. So again, to sum up this statement, she basically saying for all the women out there, the moral crusaders that want to jump down YK, YK Osiris's throat and crucify him at the stake just for this one thing. And that's one thing Meek Mill, who interjected his point of view, was saying. He doesn't want a young rapper like this with so much talent, and she doesn't even Sukihana doesn't even want a young guy with this much talent to be subject to the media scrutiny that comes along with this. Today is, on a side note, today is Tupac Shakur's birthday, and Tupac Shakur was also in his career accused of something like this, way worse than this though. But I'm not going to rehash it here, but look it up. It's in his history, and it almost destroyed his public reputation. So basically, what Sukihana is saying and what Meek Mill is saying is don't let this young guy be me too, because he will be cast as a sexual offender. He will be cast as a sexual violator, and nobody in the industry will want to mess with him, and that could impact his career in the future. And I'm sure he's a really talented hip hop artist. I've never listened to his music, but I'm sure he is. And another thing that she is saying in that statement is that again, just because she's a rapper, just because she puts that kind of energy out there, that does to violate. Yeah, I'm getting there, Lisa. To violate her in any sort of way. His apology, his apology with regards to it. He writes, I want to publicly offer my sincerest apology to Sukihana. In an attempt to be playful, I misread the moments and violated Sukihana's boundaries. I understand the importance of consent, and I am embarrassed by my behavior. I take full responsibility, and I've made multiple attempts to apologize. I have the utmost admiration for Sukihana, and I was never intended to disrespect her. So here again, we have YK Osiris saying that he didn't intend to disrespect Sukihana. He was being playful. He was playing around. And, I believe him. You know what I mean? I don't think that he did this in a malicious way. I don't think that he intended to harm her in any way. I don't think he's BSing in the apology or just coming out with an apology because social media and Twitter and shit dragged him through the mud. I don't think I think his apology is genuine. What he wanted to say and what he wanted to do was indeed genuine. I just think that this feeds into the gender war, because a lot of this will be used as, if they didn't come out with these apologies immediately, women will take their side because they probably experienced sexual harassment in some sort of way, and they could identify, I guess, with Sukihana. Men will take their side because they've been falsely accused of ape or other kinds of sexual misconduct in the past, and they've been Me Too and they haven't really done anything, or they was just playing around. But it's proof that you cannot play around with this sort of thing. You have to conduct yourself, even though she has the reputation that she has as the type of rapper that she is. You have to conduct yourself in a professional type manner. It's never okay, guys, to think that because you've interpreted a woman's signals in a certain type of way that you have the right to overstep that bounds unless you get official consent. You know what I mean? Nick Cannon talked about, yeah, and then Lisa's correct. There is some women like that that will they will be on the other end of it. They'll be saying, "We'll see you put out music that is sexual, and you deserve uh, to get what's coming to you, or you invited that sort of thing. Slut shaming, basically, but not exactly like slut shaming, but shaming a person for their musical choices. This, not understanding that this is a business and these type of records make money. These type of records generate income. That says nothing. Just like I read in the apology, it says nothing about the person that she is. It says nothing about the mother that she is, the daughter that she is, the sister that she is, anything. All it says is that she likes to make provocative music. Again, just like with the guys, we go back to this conversation that we had when WAP first came out. And we talked about the conservative backlash against WAP, which is a video that she herself, Sukihana, was in. And I said, it's kind of hypocritical now that women are doing this sexual stuff, now that women are taking charge, women are taking the wheel, and there are more, the most prolific rappers other than Drake in the music industry are all women now. You know what I mean? The Cardi B's of the world, the Nicki Minaj's of the world, the Sukianas, the Ice Spices, and these people are all women. And it's been like this for the past 10 years or better, at least since Nicki Minaj first came out. Now, Nicki Minaj is not the mother of this type of hip hop. Little Kim is. Little Kim was doing this stuff since the 90s. If you guys recall, in the movie Notorious, Little Kim was, because prior to Little Kim, female rappers rapped like boys. You know, there was Gotta Get a Roughneck by MC Light. There was UNITY by Queen Latifah. There was Salt and Pepper. They were kind of, they were feminine, but in the beginning, they were kind of on that masculine tip. It was like, they were dressed in real tomboyish and stuff. And rap was really different. Then by 1995, when Little Kim came out, because of the discussion that they showed in the movie, where she was rapping like that to Biggie, she was freestyling like that to Big, and Big was like, "Man, we don't want to hear that from a female. Do some sexy shit." So she channeled her inner Madonna, and then she became rap's version of Madonna. But Madonna, the energy that Madonna was putting out pop music, Little Kim put that out in hip hop. And even still, Foxy Brown came out after that, and even still, years and years after Kim and Foxy were doing it, they were the only ones doing it. It wasn't until the 2010s when that really switched over, and female rappers really started to embrace the nastiness, the freakiness side, and Lil Kim's style of hip hop that she put into the zeitgeist really became, uh, the number one style of hip hop. You know what I mean? You had Nicki, you had Iggy, you had, then you had uh, these girls, these newer girls, Glorilla, Sukihana, Cardi, Ice Spice. They're all putting out this sexual energy. And then Love and Hip Hop comes on the air, and it promotes, more sexuality and more thoughtness, if you will, among women. But again, Coinciding with that is a greater social awareness of the sexual autonomy, a greater respect for the sexual autonomy of women. So just because uh, women are putting out their sexual energy and unwanted sexual advances from men, and we saw how that those things had come under scrutiny. Just look at Brett Kavanaugh's trial. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff is no longer tolerated, or how we reacted to um, Donald Trump's comments, locker room talk comments, or how R. Kelly was treated. Think about how for years, for decades, we let R. Kelly sexually violate women, and we just, women and young girls, and we just laughed about it. You know what I mean? And how we approached it so nonchalantly. That's not going on anymore. And that's a great thing for women in society. But it's kind of confusing, or it shouldn't be, but it is confusing to people that at the same time, as women are putting out this all uber sexualized message within music, particularly within hip hop, that women are also demanding greater sexual autonomy and greater respect for their bodies, and more sexual accountability from men in society. So they see it as a contradiction, but it's really not a contradiction, guys, if you stop and think, because people like Sukihana and others like this are demanding that you see them not only as pieces of meat, not only as potential sexual objects and conquest, but as human beings with their own opinions. So if she want to get with you, she could get with you. If not, then not. If she invites you to her body, then she invites you to her body. If she don't, then she don't. You know what I'm saying? So it's no longer a question of um, the man's opinion or the man's desires, wants, needs. Now the woman is taking the lead in more ways than one. Yeah, she might be singing about it and she may even be initiating it. But if she's initiating it, that's one thing. But if you're making unwanted advances and you're being creepy and you're being overly aggressive in your advances, then no, she's gonna call you out on it, and society is gonna call you out on it. Um, as much as possible. You know what I mean? And I agree with it. I totally agree with it, because think about if the shoe were on the other foot. If this was men, men often don't realize how they come across. A lot of times, women will be friends with men, like on social media, and they'll accept their friend request. And then immediately, what they'll do next is they'll go into her Facebook page and they will like every single photo, and then they will go into her inbox, sending unwanted pictures and unsolicited pictures and unwanted advances. And women are really starting to call out that kind of BS, whether they're publicly like Sukihana or YK Osiris, or in your human resource department. And men will complain, and men will retch, and men will say, "Oh, well, this is gynocracy. This is feminazism." No, what this is women taking back their bodily autonomy, women asserting the control and dominance over their own self. If they want to be sexual and they want to twerk, that's their prerogative to be sexual and want to twerk. That doesn't mean that you have the right to touch them if they didn't want you to touch them. Come on. I think we as men need to more sexual, as Sergeant Willie Pete would say, more discipline, more discipline on ourselves, and realize, listen, we have mothers, we have sisters, we have female cousins, and we wouldn't want them to be violated in that sort of way. So why try to violate women? Do sometimes women send men mixed messages? Yes, but you know, there ain't nothing mixed about a no. There ain't no mixed messages about no, I don't want to be with you. So respect that, guys, and don't end up like YK Osiris. Don't assume because you're playing around that she wants you to kiss her. And I know, it happens and it's embarrassing or whatever, but just try to respect women. Lisa saying Jermaine Dupri said when Lotto first came out, no one wanted to sign her because of what she was rapping about, but then she changed her style and she got signed. Exactly. That's the wave. The wave right now is sexual lyrics because, um, and like I said, because of the of really Lil Kim, but because really Nicki Minaj's success in 2010 with Pink Friday, it gave women a new outlet to be the dominant rapper in the game. For the first time ever during that era, a woman was the dominant rapper in the game, and men really, in a male dominated industry. And that was their way to assert it. That was the thought, what they call the thought rap now is the new wave of what gangster rap was. The same way that gangster rap turned racial stereotypes on their head, racial racial caricatures and racial misinformations regarding hypermasculinity and the aggressiveness of African American men, and said, okay, if that's what you really think of us, that's we're going to turn the volume all the way up, and we're going to become a super duper caricature, a super duper representation of that same negative stereotype, and we're going to embrace that negative stereotype because prior to that, we bent over backwards to try to disprove that stereotype by trying to be other than that. And that was the case when gangster rap first came out with African American men, and that's the case now with the thought rap with women. It's like for decades upon decades, uh, the white supremacist media structure has sexualized black women and has overly sexualized black women, and black women have always pushed against it. Black entertainers and black women have always tried to present themselves as classy and always wanted to be respected for their artistry, and a lot of times with hip hop for their intelligence and for their political militancy, like Lauryn Hill and Queen Latifah. But they never did. They always focused in on the hypersexuality, the stereotypes that were born during slavery, to be honest. So at this point, with thought rap, just like with gangster rap, with the men, they're like, "Fuck it, you don't respect me anyway. So why should I put on this pretense of respectability? I'm just gonna go all out and I'm gonna create this persona of hypersexual, hypersexualized woman because that's what you think of me. You know what I mean? So if that's what you're gonna think of me anyway, that's what I'm gonna embrace, and I'm gonna make that shmoney off it. And you know, all power to them. That's what they need to do. They actually turned the racial stereotype and the sexist stereotype on its head and turned a negative into a positive. You know what I mean? And it all started with Nicki Minaj. But now, see, it's gotten to be so popular, just like anything else in pop culture, when record companies and other media outlets see that something is successful, they see that something is working, they overdo it and they beat it to a dead horse to the point where, yeah, there were talented women that were revolutionizing the music industry and really going out there and really uh, um, really, wielding a heavy, really talented and really could rap. But now there's just a bunch of nameless faces that they're putting out there as representations. Lisa saying, going back to the Suki situation, what you think about the men that stood by and did nothing to help? Well, yeah, because nothing to help, or nothing. Well, people have a mind your own business attitude, Lise, and a lot of times the men in the audience will think that she had it coming to her also. You know what I mean? There's this pervasive stereotype with men that if a woman dresses, and it's with women too, because Women, like Lisa was saying, that they internalize sexism also. You know what I'm saying? That a lot of times minority groups will internalize the exact same racial stereotypes put out by the dominant group towards them, and they will regurgitate the exact same racial or sexual stereotypes put against them. Like, um, okay, they were not in the, at least says they were not in the audience; they were sitting right next to her. But still, they they believe this. They probably think she had it coming to her. They probably think she liked it. They probably think that she deserved it. But overall, they're not gentlemen because they didn't do anything to help her. See, a bad guy, a good guy that does nothing is the same as a bad guy. So bad things happen when good people do nothing, guys. So if you're seeing something like this, just like we talked about before in other videos with the Jordan Neely situation on the train, if you don't do anything and you see something like this go down or something like that go down, and you don't do anything and you just, oh, I want to be an innocent bystander, I don't know what's going on, he probably deserved it anyway, then you're just as bad as the person doing it. You're not doing anything to stop it, you're just sitting there. So yeah, that's fucked up, Lise. They could have apprehended him or whatever. But see, they don't want to. I think too they didn't want to get involved because like you don't know if she's really. I'm not gonna say they didn't know she was really joking, but because by her reaction, you could tell that she wasn't joking, that she was caught off guard. But they didn't want to get involved. But again, if you're an innocent bystander and you don't get involved, then you're just as bad as the person doing the whatever. You know what I mean? Whether it's sexual assault, whether it's real assault, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So, uh, see something, say something. Don't be like the biblical parable of the Good Samaritan. Oftentimes people will talk about what's the real crust or the gist of the biblical parable of the Good Samaritan. Well, Jesus tells the story, the guy lying on the side of the road, the priest passed him, the Levite passed him, and he did nothing, but the Good Samaritan did something. The group that was derided, the group that was treated as outsiders, as foreigners, as another group, a social pariah group by the Jewish people of the day, where that was the one to actually help this dead man, while the upper echelon of societies, the side of society, the people that could have did something did nothing. Well, that's the crust of the story. If you see something, do something, or call somebody, or tell somebody, or in this case, check your man. Tell him, listen, yo, that ain't cool, bro. You know what I mean? Stop doing that. She's a woman. Have respect for her. And if you got to get into beef and you got to go to bat with her, fuck it, go to bat with her. Go to bat with them for her. You know what I mean? Because you'll look like a bigger man to most of the women in society, women with sense, women that have not internalized sexism and sexual stereotypes. Anyway, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Lisa, thank you for contributing. This is a video brought to you by Lisa's suggestion. Most of it is Lisa's content that she put out, that she wanted me to talk about and express my opinion on. Remember, keep your hands to yourself. If y'all don't keep your hands to yourself, we may have to go to the 6 feet apart rule that was instituted during quarantine. And y'all want to do that. Peace. Love you guys.